So who is Dying Wish?
Dying Wish is a group of people from Portland, Oregon, the northwestern part of the United States, um, aiming to kind of recreate an older sound of metal and metalcore with our own um, refreshing take on it, and addressing topics that we see are important and trying to inspire change in the world through the process of creating heavy music and being involved in our communities.
Innate Thirst was the first time I sort of like came across you guys. But you've been releasing music for a few years now, and Fragments of a Bitter Memory is your first sort of album, and I suppose like the most work you've released since you've been active. So, what has the process been like for you as a band to sort of get to this album?
Well, we formed in 2018. Honestly, it's pretty shocking how quickly people caught on and wanted to support us. We had a handful of songs out when we were in the studio recording the record. And so the process kind of just came very quickly, but also very naturally. Um, I've been very active in my local scene here. And so I've been booking bands and, making networking connections throughout the process. But we kind of all have been within this scene for quite some time, and um, kind of knew what we wanted to accomplish with this record. And um, just yeah, worked our asses off essentially.
Do you have a favorite track on that new album?
It's hard to say, but personally I think Fragments of a Bitter Memory, the title track, is my favorite. That song is just very personal and means a lot to me, and I was able to sing, and I think that the song kind of has a little bit of everything that we wanted to do.
I feel like screaming always seems to be like quite a learning curve when I talk to people about it. I wish I could do it. I so wish I could do it. Have you always somewhat had a hang of your voice, or have you learned things like throughout the years on like how to improve and maintain it?
I'm still learning, honestly, because what I've been trained as a singer, and as I've been told, oh yeah, it's the same thing as singing, and it's not. So kind of like unlearning that technique that I know, and trying to learn that it comes from a different place, and you have to carry your voice differently and all that. It definitely has been a learning curve, especially because I haven't been able to play shows for the last year and a half. So but definitely finding my voice in the process is rewarding.
You said a quite like a touring schedule. So you've been like with Silent Planet, Motionless in White, Atreyu, and Not Loose, and obviously just recently your own like album release shows. So is it like break time now, or is it like is this where you do your press run type of thing, and like the break part where you actually do work, but it's like a bit of a break?
I'm home for 2 weeks right now. We go back out next week with the Acacia strain, and we're out basically until Christmas. So is when I'll get back home from the East Coast. So we are hitting the ground running with shows this year. I think we're playing 75 shows in like 90 days or something wild like that.
Is
Yeah.
that like I'm just like oh my god, I feel tired
It
for
feels,
you like thinking
yeah,
about it.
it feels like a marathon.
Is that like a bus or van tour for you?
We do a Sprinter van on this next one with a trailer. So
So like 2020 and 2021 has been like a chaotic couple of years. So where do you find like inspiration or like motivation to write and record?
the fucked upness of it all is really where I find the inspiration. Like what isn't inspiration at this point? You know what I mean? Like um I think that we're all kind of collectively waking up to the injustices around the world, and the experiences that we have that we share with so many other people. And so that really was the inspiration. I feel like this opportunity to create this record really came at such an important time for us to express ourselves and talk about the things going on in the world. And um, a lot of what motivates me is like personal experiences, and like the political things that we see, especially here in Portland, going on. And So like I said, the whole, the socioeconomic political climate we're living in, you know, it's the perfect fuel for angry, heavy music aimed at a mission.
The video for Cowards Feel, Cowards Bleed, there's a lot of blood. And I was just wanting to know, like, how was the filming of that, and like, what was it?
It was so much fun. So we built the rain rig in my driveway and we mixed the blood. We had two different big, like those big trash cans. I don't remember. I think it was like 40 gallons or something. And we mixed red food dye, cornstarch, and water together. And we had like a running hose and we would stir it every like 10 minutes. And then we hooked the hose up to this like pump that went up to the rain machine that they had built. And then we had to do it when it was dark outside, and we did it in a parking lot in a residential area. So we only had like 3 hours to do the whole entire video with all the lights set up and everything. But yeah, it was by the end of it we were all soaking wet. And I still have the clothes hanging up in my closet, but they're totally ruined.
Because does it, with the red food coloring, did it stain everything?
It did stain everything pink though. And the cornstarch made everything really sticky. So my hair was just, it was gnarly.
You're like, it looks badass though.
It totally was worth it. It was in April or May. So it was still like, it was spring. It was still very cold outside. It was probably like 60 to 65 degrees and cold water. And it was freezing.
So did you guys just like leave everything in the parking lot, like all the the fake blood and everything, and just like leave?
Just dumped it out, and it just looked like chalk. It just looked like pink chalk once we had dumped it out. A lot of the color, when the rain would fall, it looked really pink. So a lot of the red is editing.
I was just gonna say, like, imagine just like driving in and just being like, okay.
Yeah. No, it looked like pink chalk, but it was everywhere.
So how would you describe a Dying Wish show?
A Dying Wish show. Very high energy. We encourage crowd participation quite a bit. Singing along, jumping off the stage, dancing, moshing, whatever you want to do. It's a place for you and us and our fans to express ourselves and just have fun.
And I wanted to bring up the picture because as we were just talking about it, I saw with you and your mum holding hands at the show. Has your mum seen you play before, or did she just sort of like come out to sort of celebrate that with you?
She has seen us play a handful of times, but she usually sits in the back and, I can see her, but so it wasn't just my mom. It was my mom, my mom's sister, two of my cousins, my other aunt, and my little sister and her friend, all in that little pocket in the front. And I remember when we were setting up and I turned over and looked at my mom and my whole family, who none of them are hardcore adjacent, even a little bit, don't go to heavy shows, but they wanted to be up front because, it was our record release show. It was a special moment, and they stood up front the whole time and held it down. So it was cool. I mean, yeah, they think that I'm just like the shit. They think that, they're just really proud of me. So it was really cool to see them there and have them there in that capacity.
I think that's the thing as well. Like, there's that huge misconception about heavy shows about how they look scary and dangerous. And I'm like, no, it's very opposite. Like, it's like, if you saw parents there, you might protect them. Or like, even I've noticed when I'm like shooting a show or something, people tend to try like help protect me or something, even though I'm like, no, just go hard. Like, it's fine. But It's just like, yeah, I think it's interesting to see be able to sort of like be like, no, it's actually a really safe space. Like, just come let loose. Right. Everyone's going to fall over, you'll get picked up. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think she even noticed too, because at one point I was like, hi, Mom. And like everyone around her was like, oh, that's Emma's mom. Okay. So like, if you're going to stage dive to that direction, you know what I mean? Like,
like, don't dive on Mom. Got it. Okay.
Exactly.
So what's how long has this album been in the making for you?
We started with 2 songs that we had gone to the studio pretty confident that we wanted A Innate Thirst and Enemies in Red on the record. But we were just going to write as many songs as we could and see where that ended up. And they did make it to the record. So those 2 songs were done. We had probably about 4 or 5 other songs demoed out a little bit. But we rewrote those a lot in the studio. And as far as for me goes, I wrote pretty much all of those lyrics in studio, because that's kind of how my process works. I write to the music. So that was a little stressful in itself, but kind of just the way that I like to do it. So, it's on me. But it does, I think a lot of us do feel though that like that was like kind of a lifetime in the making, like all of us, going through, being in this band and like wanting to play music and, wanting to express ourselves and then having the opportunity to do it just kind of felt like we were all at this pinnacle in our lives as to this is it, this is our opportunity. So.
Because I also feel like your guys' cover art for like your singles and your album artwork is like actually very cohesive in a way. So I was like, where do you get the ideas for your cover art, and like how do you plan that out in advance type of thing, like the way it actually all looks, or did it just happen to look that way?
We did not have that planned. We had the record done when we started shopping around for art, and we found that piece. It's called Ripped from Inferno. And we were like, oh, this is just so cool. And then we reached out to the guy and we were like, hey, like we want to commission and do something like this. But like, maybe if you want to do something a little different. And then he was like, yeah, sure. What do you want to do? And we were all like, actually, we kind of just want that. Like it was an existing piece. So we just licensed the piece off of him, and it's awesome that it works so cohesively because they're 2 completely different parts of art or pieces of art.
Do you have much planned for the rest of the year? Well, you said you go out in 2 more weeks.
Yeah, we leave next week. Our first day of tour is on the 6th of November, and then our last day of tour is on the 19th of December. So we're on the road for quite some time, and then we come home and it's the holidays. So we're pretty much doing everything we can for the rest of the year.
Are you guys already sort of like planning into next year, or you're just sort of like one step at a time?
Oh yeah, we've got a few tours on the books for next year. And honestly, we would love to do even more, if borders start opening up and we can go to other countries. And we have a Europe tour on the books for next fall. But, if we could even do Australia, Japan, UK, whatever, we want to get out there as much as possible.
I've got some fun questions because I feel like interviews are very serious. So I just like to throw some random fun ones at the end.
I really appreciate that.
What's your favorite snack?
Those anything bell pepper, honestly, but they have like those little sweet mini peppers, which are probably so genetically modified, but I love them with a hummus. It's the best snack.
What's your most overused phrase?
Probably like that's sick, or honestly, I say that's hot all the time. So like it could be anything like, oh, I got like this breakfast burrito that had like soy riso and this and that, and I'd be like, that's hot. Like but yeah, probably that's sick, that's hot, or dope is something I say way too often.
If I said New Zealand to you, what is the first thing you think of?
Lord of the Rings.
Thought it might be, but I was like, you never know.
Yeah.
If you could start a rumor about yourself, what would it be and why?
Probably that I have really nice feet. It's not that I don't know. Objectively, I might, but like, okay, I don't know if that's what I want, but yeah, that I have nice feet, or that I tell really good jokes, because I don't.
I sort of love the feet one in the sense that like for that to spread, like someone has to be really talking about your feet, like
right.
Like you just sort of start thinking it out and you're like, how do you know? And this becomes like a whole thing.
And then I'm always wearing shoes, so people like will never see my feet, and I will never post a picture of my feet ever, so they'll literally never know.
I always say that to my friends because like I'm big on like skincare and like self-care and stuff. So I was just sort of like, I'm always like, do you look after your feet though? Like, and they always think that's weird, but I'm like, you literally walk on them like all day, every day. Like you got to look after your feet.
Yep. You got to moisturize.
Yeah. That was all the questions I had.
Awesome.
But thank you so much. And I've appreciated our chat. And I'm so glad I got to do this with you.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad this was my last one because it was a nice, refreshing end to the day. And, you know.
Your callous cries no longer signify your pathetic existence. I only want to feed you.